Good evening. It's 6:01, and this is the May 7th, meeting of the Fresno Planning Commission. Can we please stand and, roll call first.
Commissioner Leiday.
Here.
Commissioner Calandra.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Kreiner.
Here.
Commissioner Shergill.
Present.
Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Chair Vane.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I'll read the procedures. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project will then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to the closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony for those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. The yellow light will come on with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing the testimony by the time the red light comes on with a final bell indicating that the time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the commission in making the land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else has raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. So we'll start today's meeting with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
Good evening. It's the volume on. Is it on sound? Can you hear me?
I don't think you're
Testing,
on.
testing. 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 Good evening, Vice Chair Bray, members of the Planning Commission. There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay.
Thank
Do
you.
any commissioners have changes to the agenda? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. So we'll go to the consent calendar. And we have the regular April 16th meeting minutes. Is there any public comment on those minutes? Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Okay. Commissioner Kreider moved to accept it and was seconded by Commissioner, oh gosh. Shergill, I'm sorry. Okay, so can we have a vote, please? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Are there any reports by commissioners?
I just have a humble request to the Fresno community. There is a project called the Safe Streets Project. They will be fixing a lot of streets, especially west of 99 in the 93722 and the 93723 area. There are millions of dollars. The money is there. Actually, it's almost fully funded project. They are asking for people's input. So people are getting that either in their emails, on Facebook, on social media. It's called the Safe Streets Project. And it is in multiple languages. So please do take that survey. And they are planning on adding almost 10 street segments and 10 possible locations for the hawk signals. Hawk signals means like especially closer to the elementary schools, just to make it safer for the children. So it's called the Safe Streets Project. Please do take the survey and share your input with the with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any continued matters, so new matters is 8A, ID 25507. Can we have the staff report, please?
Good evening, Chair Bray, Commissioners. Chris Lang from the Planning and Development Department. For your consideration this evening is conditional use permit number P23-02631 for property located at 4927 East McKinley. The subject property, again, is located on the northeast corner of McKinley and Fine Avenues. And as you can see, it is zoned community commercial, CC. To the north and east, you have light industrial, IL, and to the west, you have another community commercial district. From the aerial, again, you can see property developed to the north and east is primarily office complex, part of an industrial park, and then to the west are commercial uses. Here's an aerial, or I'm sorry, here's an elevation of the subject property. The tenant space for the proposed use is highlighted and is part of an overall or a unified shopping center called Airport Village Commercial Center. Currently, the use is an existing adult daycare, which operates during the day, and the applicant has submitted a proposed application for a banquet hall, which is to be located in the 8,300 square foot tenant space. The hours of operation are going to be opposite of the adult daycare. So when the daycare is not operating, it proposes to operate from 6 to 11 p.m. on weekdays and 6 to 12 on weekends. Banquet hall is a conditionally permitted use in the CC zone district, which is why application for a conditional use permit is submitted. Subject to the Fresno Municipal Code, banquet hall uses require 1 parking space on site for every 50 square feet of assembly area. The proposed assembly area of the banquet hall is approximately 6,700 square feet, and you can see the diagram of the floor plan up there. Currently, within the entire shopping center, there are only 95 existing on-site parking spaces. As you can see here, the subject property, the center, was developed as a unified shopping center. However, previously a parcel map was approved which split the center into 2 parcels. So there are 54 parking spaces on the subject property and 41 spaces on the adjacent property, which there is a shared parking agreement in place between the 2 properties. So overall, again, a total of 95 parking spaces. Staff worked with the applicant to explore options to comply with the parking requirements to find a way to allow or to meet the minimum 135 parking stalls. So there are several options for parking reductions, which include analyzing proximity to mass transit, or minor deviations, plan developments to reduce the required percentage or reduce the parking spaces by a certain percentage. However, the banquet hall didn't meet any of those criteria. Additionally, for buildings over 30 years old, we do have exceptions for parking. However, banquet hall use is specifically identified as a project that does not qualify for that parking exception. Staff also discussed reducing the size of the banquet hall to reducing the square footage to in turn reduce the parking. However, based upon the existing adult daycare that operates during the day, it wouldn't be feasible for the applicant to divide that space into multiple spaces or create a smaller tenant space for the banquet area. Another option that was discussed was an off-site shared parking covenant with an adjacent property. And the adjacent or a neighboring property owner initially did come to an agreement with the project applicant to share parking. However, I'll go, and you can see on the slide they're located across the street and do have shared parking. For planning to allow approve this off-site parking, though, there are provisions of the code which it has to meet, which includes needs to be the same zone district or zone district that allows the use within 400 feet of the property, on the same side of the street, not crossing any major streets, as well as having a pedestrian path, which this all of these criteria are met. However, the plan or the development code also requires that a written agreement in form of a covenant be recorded on the property between both landowners agreeing to allow for the shared parking. And unfortunately, a covenant cannot be secured for this application. The project was reviewed by the District 4 Review Committee, and they recommended approval. Notice to take action was mailed in November of 2023, and 2 letters in opposition were received from the community or from the neighbors, and those concerns included lack of on-site parking, overflow parking onto adjacent properties, noise, traffic, hours of operation, and those are included in your the staff report. Planning Department took action on the project and denied it on March 25th, and Councilmember Maxwell did file an appeal. Therefore, a public hearing notice was sent out, and 2 additional letters were received in opposition of the project, and a third was just received, which was provided to you on the dais. And again, the concerns included lack of on-site parking and overflow parking onto adjacent properties. For planning to make or to approve a conditional use permit, it needs to make the required findings, which are in front of you. And in this case, the use is allowed within the zone district and complies with all other applicable provisions of the code. In this case, the use did not comply with parking, and therefore we could not make the finding that finding A is met. If you look up there, the proposed use is consistent with the general plan. Met that. However, because it does not meet the required parking, the proposed use is, planning could not make the finding that the proposed use is substantially adverse, or will not be substantially adverse to public health, safety, general welfare, nor detrimental to surrounding properties. Also could not make the finding that the design, location, size, and characteristics are compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, and that the site is physically suitable for the type density and intensity of the proposed use. Therefore, staff recommends deny the appellant's appeal and uphold action of the Planning and Development Director, which would deny conditional use permit P23-02631. And then should the Planning Commission grant the appeal, the following would need to be, Planning Commission would need to amend the CUP findings and adopt the draft environmental determination. All right. And that concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
I have a question. So, over at the convention center, they have those big slidey walls, and they can divide up those different venues with those big slidey walls. If they were to do that rather than build a wall, and they promised that they would do that for each one, would that work, or does that not count?
It would need to be a permanent improvement, because there would be no way to, I guess, for planning to enforce that or ensure that the events weren't larger than what was previously approved. So and the applicant might not be on site at all times to ensure that
Because those
that
big
would be
slidey
enforced.
walls are permanent. They're just not always shut.
Correct, but
They're
again, they can be
permanent.
opened, and there would be no way to enforce or say these must remain closed at all times. They could be theoretically opened at any time.
Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, question. Thank you so much. The two questions. The location is directly across from Fresno City campus, correct?
No.
It's not?
Let me see. Oh, please can you put the PowerPoint back up? I'm sorry. I
Thanks
believe
for
we
the
have an
airport.
aerial. It is, I believe it is just to the, sorry.
I tried to Google Earth.
Here we go. Okay, so there we go. The major street, this is just to the east of Winery. So Winery and McKinley. To the south is a canal, and then residential.
And so the lack of parking is there shared parking that's available, or is it just not enough parking structures and not enough parking units to accommodate for the amount of individuals that?
So there's not enough parking on site, and then there were no options or no remedies to, through different opportunities to reduce parking available to this site, with the exception of a shared parking agreement, which has not been executed or cannot be executed.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Can you explain some of the dangers of not having sufficient parking, and what are the major concerns?
Yes, so there was a code case in relation to this, and along North Fine, there is no parking. It's both bike lanes, and so there were complaints of people parking on the street, blocking the bike lanes, and then that has the opportunity to reduce visibility or create hazards along the primary street. And then again, there have been complaints received by neighbors regarding people parking on their properties without permission, just overflow parking in general.
Thank you for that. And then my next question is, I see that they do have the adult proms in the events, which I think is wonderful. However, Is it a situation where they have to have the CUP in order to have those, or can they apply for a one-time use, or is there anything else they could do aside from what they're requesting now?
There might be, I have to explain it more, there's the opportunity for temporary use permits. However, those are limited to only several a year, I believe. And so, they do have the opportunity, but, for a permanent or, continuing use, they submitted the application for the CUP.
Commissioner, I'd also note that if it was directly related to the function of the adult daycare, so if it was the participants in the adult daycare, any kind of party or event associated with the adult daycare would be permitted. It would be the leasing out of the facility to others to rent the facility as a banquet hall, not related. And as Mr. Lang said, it is in our understanding of the application that would happen more times a year than temporary use permit would allow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question for you. You mentioned the fact that there has been complaints. Is this an existing business that has already been in business, or is this a newly?
So the application is to establish the banquet hall. However, it's my understanding that there have been events in the past which have led to, neighbors, submitting complaints, or there being code enforcement or a code enforcement case.
So just to clarify, if they were to have their events and it was always for the participants in their adult daycare, they would be okay. It's just...
So, an example, right? My child's school can have a carnival. There is no use permit required for that, right? Same thing here. This school, this event or adult daycare can have an event associated with their participants as long as it remains on the site and it's, it is related to the function of that's occurring there, right? So the primary function. It's the leasing out to someone else. So if it's their dances, their parties, their celebrations, that's fine. It's just not leasing out to others.
So if two of the participants were to get married, they could have their reception there.
What? So I don't want to get into granular details of specifics but if two members of the faculty of a kid's school got married at the site, that would not be affiliated. So the hosting of other events outside of the function of the school or of the primary use would not be the same, right?
Thank you. Commissioner Kreiner, did you have a comment?
No, I was going to piggyback off of, I'm sorry I jumped in. That was the preacher in me just kind of jumping in for a second. But yeah, I was going to say, as long that doesn't match the operation of what the facility was initially in use for. It's a daycare, so even if I would suggest, and I'm not a planner or anything like that, but I would suggest that even if there were employees who worked at the daycare, if it's not being used for daycare purposes, you can't use it for anything else without a conditional use permit. Is that correct?
So, in this particular case, the banquet hall use is a conditional use permit. So it's not a we've talked about P uses on the table. It's not a permitted use. It's a conditionally permitted use. So it has to meet the findings in the code. So if there was another permitted use on the use table and the applicant came in and asked for a zone clearance for that particular use, we're going to have a barber shop or we're going to have something else that's a permitted use. That would simply be a zone clearance and could be permitted as long as it meets all of the requirements of the code for parking, et cetera. In this particular case, a banquet hall has has a lot of requirements in the code for parking, noise, et cetera, because of the use. The use can have impact on surrounding neighbors. And so that's why a conditional use permit was applied for. We really all thought we had a solution when the neighboring property said, sure, you can use our parking lot because it's after work. But because we couldn't get the covenant, the deed recorded, we couldn't approve the application.
So if we were to deny this, and then they later got somebody to agree to let them use the parking, they could reapply?
Oh, certainly. If the adjacent property owner agreed to record the covenant, we'd certainly be able to process the application, absolutely.
Does anybody else have questions?
Yes, it's a little off topic, but it did remind me of this area. And just asking, did we ever take care of the flooding situation that was there? I do remember a few people from the community came to us, I believe it was 1 year ago, when we did have a specific situation with Rivendell. And just a follow-up, I don't know if anybody can find out while we're in session.
We don't have any knowledge of any kind of changes in the stormwater in that area, but certainly we can follow up with you.
Okay,
on
that'd be
that.
great.
Yeah.
I know that was a concern of the community, and it'd be nice to follow up with everyone to let them know if we're looking into it or if it's still something that needs attention.
Commissioner Calandra?
Thank you. A question about the 41 parking spaces with the other parcel. So if something comes in that has extended hours, they're going to be in conflict?
Potentially.
And so how does that get mitigated?
So I believe in that case, planning would need to analyze the application and make that determination once it comes through. But again, the shared parking agreement between the two parties, it does allow for that parcel to develop. So it would need to be analyzed, whatever application would come in, and determine if there would be sufficient parking between the uses.
Okay. One other question, and that's regarding the report that we received. And it mentioned that there were a number of code enforcements against the parking and traffic issues. How many are pending?
Unfortunately, I can see if I can look that up.
It's Philip Segrist, Planning Manager. It's just the one code enforcement case that's referenced in the staff report. I think it's code enforcement case E23. I don't remember the rest of the numbers on that, but just per our records, we've only received one code enforcement case that's been opened on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any more questions for staff? Okay, so I'd like the applicant to present.
Good evening. My name is Sammy Lee Yang. A lot of you probably know me or remember my story from a year ago. Right after the car wash incident, I received as well the complaint saying that it was too many cars. But I think that was the only one that I can remember. So my adult daycare is what's most important to me. It never started as a banquet hall. It was just one day, Lupita, one of my participants, her sister turned 16. I have never been to a quinceañera, don't know what quinceañera was. Mom came and asked me, can we use your space? It's a lot of space. So I said, sure. And then you have the community coming together. And then later on, I have the community from the Hispanic. They want to give out scholarships. We want to use your place. Is it okay? Okay. You just pay for the security guards and the cleaning. And then the dancing, the whole community just came. And I work for the community. I don't know anything about code. I don't know anything about banquet hall. All I know is I'm a social worker, and I have something available. You want to have it for really affordable price, you may have it. And that's how it started. So when the complaint came in, I came to see upstairs, and they said, well, for the type of things that you are going to do, you're going to need to follow you will be falling under the banquet hall. That was the only option they gave me. And I started in July of 2023, my application. I did not receive anything, and I kept coming. These guys know me well. I keep coming here almost every month, every 2 months, every other month. What's going on with my permit? And Mr. Saul one day says, well, you know, we don't understand why you have to ask for a permit if it's just for your church, the church, or nonprofit organization. And I run a nonprofit. And I have a group of senior citizens. And they faithfully come out twice a month. They do their live dancing, they mingle, and they go home. There's no harm done. There's always security on site. And so I'm here. I understand and respect the rules. But I understand also that this is a space that many, many people in the community has come to know as a home. They practice almost every night. They dance. I'm talking about families, their children. I'm talking about when the leaders in the community wants to have a meeting, they choose that place because I do not charge them. So I do want to continue to support my senior citizen group. I do want to have them to be open for them to come out twice a month. I do also would like for your group to consider, I really don't care about leasing to the community so I can make profit. But if I could keep my small group, my small nonprofits the way they are right now, I'm happy. And I do have the agreement. I wish you have explained to me, Phil, that the agreement, getting a yes from my neighbor, and the definition of what a covenant is. I don't know what it is. So I'm super happy. I'm telling Mr. Fisher, hey, would you like to share your parking with my clients? Sure. He had his attorney draw this agreement. I come back to these guys and they say, oh, by the way, there's something called a covenant. We need to do that. And so he's tying him to a business that belonged to me. And I don't know what covenant is. I'm here not because I don't believe in the rules. I do. But I also want to advocate for my senior citizens they come twice a month. They play live jazz. They dance for 4 hours, 5 hours, and they leave. Faithfully, we've been doing this for 4 years. We have not gotten ourselves in any trouble. We have not done any harm to anyone. My company finally purchased the building in the lot, and I have beautified this place. It's green, it's well cared for. My place is safe, and lighting outside is bright. So I would like for you guys to really hear my plea and find a solution and help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question? Comment?
I do. Are you a for-profit business?
No, we're nonprofit.
Because you keep on saying my company bought a property, so I would like to know. a
I'm
little
sorry.
more about
I'm in
that.
my agency, yes. I just sit on the top of the agency, the nonprofit.
And I know I had talked about the possibility of putting a wall in there to make the space that you use for that a little bit smaller to comply with the parking. That's just not a possibility?
Oh, the one that you suggested, absolutely, I will work with that. The reason why it's not feasible if we were to put a huge wall in between is because I have clients they are bound, wheelchair bound, but they could use the fingers to move the electrical chairs, and it allows them to go around. And because it's a big space, they could just move around. So it does not restrict the movement.
You couldn't put a door in the wall?
I'm sorry?
Put a big door in the wall?
Uh,
Put the wall with a door in it.
a big wall with a door in it. How are they going to do that? We will be dividing the whole space. It used to be a Sikh temple, and it was a 24 hours thing. So they separated, they had the wall. But when I came in, I wanted more space for both of my clients who are on wheelchair, and I was imagining they could go around in their wheelchair. That's why I knocked it down.
Do we know what the dimensions, can you tell us the dimensions of the space and how much less it would be if you abided by the wall?
I don't know. They probably do.
Okay.
I don't.
Alrighty, I think that would be something good to consider because we're just assuming that it still wouldn't be spacious, and perhaps it may be. So I think that's a good question to ask and find out.
Does the staff have that information?
Not exact numbers, but they would have to reduce the current assembly area down by approximately 2,000 square feet in order to meet the minimum, meet the parking requirement with what's currently existing in the parking lot.
And you don't know how big the whole space is?
So we measured the assembly area at, what is it, 6,700 square feet?
So they'd have to reduce it to 4,700 square feet.
Right around there, yes, that's correct.
So, I'm sorry, Sister Chair, is it okay? So I'm looking at your operational statement, and you're saying now your biggest concern is to make sure that your seniors basically have a place to continue their special events or a place of gathering, correct?
Yes.
So you're no longer as interested in proms and things of that nature?
As I stated in the beginning, that was never the intention. But it started with one quince and it just spread out. But if I could continue to keep my seniors and the small nonprofit, when they come in about, 150, max 200, Gloria? Yeah.
So you're willing to reduce the size of it down to meet the proper requirements that are needed to continue to service these seniors?
The seniors in the smaller nonprofit agencies, yes.
So if that is done, then the reduction of parking would be less of a requirement for the 500 and 600 stalls, correct?
So the challenge is the space, right? So remember, you're giving an entitlement to what? A person or a piece of land? Do you have an answer to that?
Oh, the land.
The land, right? So we're not giving this entitlement to this individual business, we're giving it to the land, and it will be in perpetuity. So if Rivendell ever moved or changed their operations, they have this entitlement to continue to operate, and there's no way to tie it to a specific number of persons in the building, right? So unless there's the wall, the demising wall, which was what Phil had suggested as one of the options, right? A permanent demising wall that you can't, you've essentially granted the permission for it to be used for a larger group. What I would say is many of the things that the applicant is describing would be allowed. The thing that is not allowed is essentially leasing either for a low cost or a high cost to individuals to come in and have parties and events unrelated to the operations of the nonprofit. If the nonprofit is serving as an adult daycare, is serving seniors and young people with disabilities, any events associated with their clientele would be fine. It's going outside of that group, right? So, you know, their participants could have a prom, but you know, a neighboring school couldn't have a prom there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? So I think it comes down to, you know, and those items wouldn't require, so the nonprofit activities, the direct services to adults with disabilities, the specific related activities don't require an additional CUP. The banquet hall function is the sale to outside parties, right? Or whether that's free or not free. So that's where the conundrum comes in, right? I guess what I'm wondering is, are you saying you don't want to do that anymore, or you want to continue to be able to lease out, regardless of the price, to others?
Ma'am, I have 120 clients, participants that I serve, and their families, and they are from all nationalities. They have blessings for grandmas, and they have people from all out of state that comes in, and they want to meet inside a building instead of being outdoor. Those are the things that my clients are asking me. And I am not interested, if the law says I don't have enough parking space to rent out to the community, I really don't care. But I do care about keeping my seniors coming out every month, twice a month. I do care about what my clients, my participants, and their families are doing. The kids from the school, when the parents drop them off at night after the day program is over, and they're coming so they could learn how to dance, a traditional dance, and they stay up until 10 o'clock. And those are the things, and you will see cars out there. And those are the things that I would like to have it continue. And usually they're just small nonprofit for dances.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, Commission, the challenge is, right, finding that fine line between what the code requires. So I go back to the school analogy. I couldn't rent out the school to hold my child's birthday party there. I couldn't rent out the school to hold my family reunion there. But at a normal school, right? Because that is not the function, the land use that was provided. But if the school is holding a carnival or the school is holding a dance, that would be acceptable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the differentiation. So it sounds like you do need the banquet hall or the banquet CUP to operate in the manner that you're seeking. So that's what she's asking today, and you would need to make the findings in the code.
So it almost seems like a non-issue. Are you saying that you no longer want to rent out like you said, their family comes into town and they want a place to meet? You wouldn't be allowing that to happen?
But you're right. I want to, I still want the city to give me the okay to when the families in the past, when the families comes and say, hey, grandma is very old, we want to hold a blessing in the Hmong community. It's something they do for the grandma. And I still want the city to be, to allow me to do that. Or if just the clan leaders in the community, they want to hold a special event just for them. And they will not be paying me at all. They will just have to pay for the cleaning because I'm not going to clean after the mess. And they're just going to have to pay for the security guard because that's what the police have told me. When there's a gathering, you have to have security on site.
So, first, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. So my question is for the city. So like, for example, at Fresno State, when we have an association there, we are able to do our events there. If the people are part of their, I don't know, like club, association, are they able to do the event there?
So that would require the conditional use permit. So Fresno State's completely different than like an elementary school. So I don't know,
okay. So
they're under the auspices of the state. We have no control over what happens on the campus of Fresno State. But the uses that are being described tonight, that's why I was trying to figure out where that line is and make sure that we were understanding it correctly. But to hold the celebrations, to hold the blessings, to hold those kinds of meetings would require the banquet hall CUP.
And
Now, you could do a temporary use permit, but those are limited, right? So each one would require a temporary use permit, and it depends on the kind of use it is that's being requested. But typically, those are limited to anywhere from, 2 to 3 or 6 a year. So it just depends on the use, but it wouldn't be like you could have one every week.
So do they need, so they're trying to bring the senior citizens because, it's very important to give them that space. Let me put that together, hold up. So if they do the events from their organizations that owns the property or, they're part of the, deed, can they do their own events
Yes,
for the city, right?
They can do their own events, but they can't have my grandma's coming old and I want to do a blessing. I wouldn't be able to do that, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question also. You did mention the intended use, and it seems that it is serving the intended use. And we spoke about the wall and having a specific place, about 4,700 square feet, correct? Yes. And I'm looking at another venue, the Omnia. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it in Fig Garden Loop. And it just says here for 4,600 square feet, that ballroom has a capacity of 350 guests. So that's a pretty large space. I know it's 2,000 square feet less than what you're used to, but it seems like there could be a way for you to make some changes and still adhere to the code and not need that CUP. So I'm just finding it really hard to find the findings. I just wanted to share that because we think of 4,000 square feet, and that's something that not a lot of people know how big that is. So if you look up an event venue that you guys have been to, I'm just urging my colleagues to do that because we think, 4,600 square feet, 6,700 square feet. I do real estate, so I look at square feet all day. So it's just really important to think about how big that space actually is.
All right, so I think we should go out to the public now. So is there anyone here in favor of the appeal? That was the one I was supposed to do.
Good evening, Manuel Cunha, President of the Nice Farmers League. We have the complex directly, if the staff would show that, the building north of the McKinley property. So I don't know how you do that.
Yeah,
but
sir, if you'll just finish your 3 minutes, and then we can pull that up during discussion from the commission.
Okay. Well, I'm Manuel Cunha. We have the buildings directly north of Sam's facility. I've been in the facility because many of my members are 90 years old, 100 years old, and in various places called Nice's. And I see some of the values sometimes of these homes and these programs. I've been in her program inside the facility, and this isn't a question for whatever. Until you go into a facility like that, you see what Sam's talking about, the electric wheelchairs. One client, 46 years old, since a baby in this wheelchair, special wheelchair. He has the ability, I've watched him in that building, he has the ability to go inside when the weather is perfect and there's nothing outside that's going to scare those people, because a car backfiring causes problems to the people, to the client. So I've not had a problem with their parking. Mr. Fisher, who offered graciously, no cost, no nothing, suddenly has to have this clause of having to just cross the street. I don't understand that part. And there is no bike lane pathways on Fine Avenue. I'm right in front, and there is nothing. I mean, I go out there every week and spray the weeds on the city road from the asphalt cracking, okay? So I don't know what the problem would be allowing Mr. Fisher
You have another minute. You have another minute.
To enter into an agreement with her and her facility. It's not hurting anybody. I don't know what the problem would be if you need to amend the code to cooperate and to see what's going on. But this is a very special place, and especially for even the adults. I go to care homes because I have a patient, a parent of a worker whose mom is 101. She's got all of her faculties. She still farms from her little home at the care home. She still farms there in her acres in Carruthers. I'm absolutely excited because they've accommodated her needs rather than throwing her and letting her die. So if we can figure out a way to help her do the things that she does for the community that are positive, with the people, with the different cultures. My God, we have enough crazy things going on in this city and between our cities. So whatever you can do as a board, I would really appreciate it, including the staff. Thank you.
Mr. Cunha, do you have parking available where you are?
Yes, but we had to do something and spend $95. It was called Gate It All Up, because the homeless, they were coming in, climbing our buildings, trying to steal the electrical wire. I've now got the entire complex all gated. Even on top of Sam's wall that was before she moved in, I had to put a 3-foot cyclone up there. So our entire facility closes at 5:30. We have 126 parking stalls. Everybody's assigned certain ones for their sides of their building. But we do have it, but it's gated and locked because of the homeless destruction has been, it's not fair to us. People that have businesses, not fair to my staff and other people's staff that have women working. And I've been approached in the daytime by homeless with knives. And I've called the mayor, who once was a police chief, because of the problem. So it's gated, totally gated. I hate to say it, 360. It's not gated over the top yet, but if we can help and do, we want to do that. But a great person with what they do to these kids, you have to go by there and see.
Do you own your building?
Yes, everybody owns their own buildings.
So would Mr. Cunha also have to get a covenant?
I have 4 buildings.
So for off-site parking facilities for non-residential uses, I believe it was up on the screen earlier, it may be provided, and again, we were ready to sign off. So it's proposed in the district that permits the proposed use. The answer is yes. It's within 400 feet. Yes. It's along a improved pedestrian route that connects the principal entrance. Yes. It's on the same side of the street, across an alley, across a local street. It's across a local street. And number 5, there is a written agreement between the landowners and the city in the form of a covenant guaranteeing among the landowners for access to and the use of the parking facility that the spaces will be maintained and reserved for the uses served for as long as such uses are in operation. So it's a requirement of the development code.
If the covenant could just said that, what you just read, if the covenant would just say that rather than all these other I gotchas. I saw the covenant. It ain't small, but it has a lot of other things in there that make it so simple that Mr. Fisher, and some of you know Mr. Fisher, he's a great businessman. I understand his concerns. I read that covenant. I wouldn't sign it. I'm sorry. I just, because there's too many I gotchas. But if Sam can go across the street and get Mr. Fisher to say, I'm going to rent it to you, you maintain it, you clean it up. Right now, the construction people are parking their trailers over there. They're light trailers for doing the construction on McKinley. First thing, I want to thank you all. Repairing McKinley with a new asphalt from Peach to Clinton has been the greatest thing ever. So,
okay, Mr. Cunha, you've been very helpful, and we appreciate your testimony, but your time is up.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in favor of the appeal?
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Wal Yang. I'm one of the 18 clans president. I'm the president of the Yang United. And I've been president for 2 years, and I have been using the center just for the families. And of course, we really have nowhere to go. And I approached Sam, some day ago and then say, hey, is there any way that we can run our culture stuff in there? Like, we do have our New Year culture celebration, and we just make food. People come eat, have fun. We have dance class in there. We have culture classes in there, and I know anywhere you go, there's got to be a rule and regulation, code, and stuff like that. But I really wanted to see that the place is still available for us, because without that, not just me, but the other 17 clans leaders, we will not have a place to host our little culture stuff for the families. And it's been really benefits for us. And I give infinity credits to Sam's, and for doing that, having the place for us to use. But I know that she's been fighting back and forth with the struggles, from the car wash till, today. And I know this is still going to be going on. But we have so many different halls in towns that I can actually go, and there's many places that don't even have parking space too. So I don't even know how they pass that code. And I can show you those, venue also. There's many of them. And a lot of them don't have a lot of parking space the same way. People park in the streets or they contract with others. And I'm also glad that PG, Across Neighbors, willing to let Sam use, and they even have her pay their insurance to covers and everything, and she's willing to do that just for the community. And I would like to see this going on. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in favor of the?
Good evening. My name is Gloria Heinrichs, and I am a Fresno native and president of the Central California Big Band Dance Society. This is a nonprofit group that has existed for 41 years. We exist to preserve and promote big band music live and provide a place to dance and enjoy the music. We have held 12 events a year at Rivendell for probably the past 4 years. The reason it became necessary is that during COVID, the facilities downtown, such as the Radisson Hotel, where we had danced previously, did not reopen. We were searching for a place that our seniors, mostly seniors, but any adult can come and enjoy the music and dance. We needed a place, and a friend found Rivendell. As you've heard, Sam was not intending to be a venue for dancing. Her dedication, her life work is devoted to the disenfranchised, those who are mentally, physically challenged, and who I simply would never be able to take care of. I wouldn't know what to do. She opened her business to us, and every month that we go, one time a month, the facility is immaculate. Anything that we need is made available to us. It is street-level parking, unlike what we had downtown, which was underground, and our seniors didn't always feel safe in the underground parking. I don't need to tell you that Fresno is the largest city in the state that does not have a senior center. When I saw the plan for the one being built on Blackstone, I was disappointed with the fact that in the middle of the biggest room in that design, they put a staircase coming down the center. For all the times that we have stood before City Council asking for a dance facility, their architect never got the message. You don't want a staircase in the middle of a ballroom dance floor. I am here today because I support Sam and Yi and everything that they do in this facility. And if you were to visit it during the week, I think you would be awestruck. And these things that are a concern are simply not important. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who we?
Hi, my name is Joanne. I'm in a Hmong dance group called Saikashia. We are a non-profit dance group that is under Hmong culture and art preservations. Hmong dancing has allowed me to feel connected to my Hmong heritage. Sam has opened her arms to allow my groups to practice 2 times a week at Rivendell. We are lucky to have a safe place and clean environment to get together and practice, so that us girls and boys feel closer to our Hmong roots.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Okay, is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring this back to the group. I think what Sam is doing is great, but we also have to follow the municipal code. But I can't accept that there's not a way to work this out. So I would be inclined to ask the staff to go back and figure this out. And I would ask Sam to think about the wall with doors in it. You can get a CASP inspector to come there. They make sure things are accessible to handicapped people. And I think if your people need to go around in a circle, you could have 2 doors in a big wall. So I think there's ways to work this out, and I can't accept that there isn't. This is a good thing, so that's what I have to say. Does anyone else have anything they want to say?
I completely agree with you.
Can we have a motion, please? Yes, sir.
And I do hear other businesses or properties that are supportive. Like I heard from the gentleman, they're willing to support, this nonprofit. So I think, Fresno, we need to make Fresno a city of choice for everyone. So I think we need to work something out where we give a lot of opportunity to our seniors. They have dedicated their lives, like I said, I tell my students, we're going to make a better world. We're going to work hard, but then you need to make the world even more better than how you got it. So we need to work something out, and we do need to support our nonprofits. I mean, if it's not for a business, it's a nonprofit, and the neighboring buildings, they're willing to help with the parking. If the parking is the issue, let's find a solution to work this thing out, please. Thank you.
We have a motion then? Then I'll make a motion to send this back to the staff. I would like to suggest that you, Sam, explore the wall with doors in it. Maybe, as Mr. Cunha suggested, renting the parking from them at I'm sure your neighbors would give it to you for $1. any other ways that this can be worked out, because this can be worked out. This is not something that should be happening. So I am going to make a motion that we send this back to the staff to work with the applicant to get this worked out. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone not in favor? Okay, motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Next item? Yes, thank you. I think it's item
Sorry.
8B, I believe it is.
You came up and I thought you were just going to start.
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
Yes,
Can we take a little bathroom break?
sure.
Okay.
5 minutes or 10 minutes or?
5 minutes. Okay, we'll take a 5 minute.
5-minute recess, thank you.
can be rented out. Also, ADUs are often built with cost-effective wood frame construction, which is significantly less costly than homes in new multifamily infill buildings. Next slide, please. So ADUs allow extended families to be near one another while maintaining privacy. Again, you can have two houses on one lot. If you have an extended family member, and Isaac's going to go over this as part of his presentation, but again, these ADUs are much less costly than to construct a new house on a separate lot. So again, you can have an extended family living in your rear yard. Last but not least, ADUs can provide as much living space as many newly built apartments and condominiums. So typically, the maximum building size, square footage, for these ADUs is 1,200 square feet. So they're pretty sizable. Next slide, please. Wanted to go over some stats on the approval of building permits. So these are California numbers. So between 2016 and 2023, the number of ADUs permitted annually went from approximately 1,300 to 27,000 within just that 7 years. So 20-fold increase in just 7 years between 2016 and 2023. Also, in California, in 2023, ADUs comprised more than 21% of all houses permitted statewide. Next slide, please. Next, I'd like to go into some standards that are required for ADUs. Again, as mentioned earlier, maximum size typically is 1,200 square feet. There are some instances, some state law that allows larger, but typically the maximum building size, square footage is 1,200 square feet. We often get asked, how many units can I put on my lot? And in addition to the main house. So there are some nuances, but typically you can put 3 additional units to the existing house. So I'll kind of describe what those 3 units are. So you can have one newly constructed ADU add to your site. Also can have one ADU that's, what's the word that's used? Basically it's, you take an existing accessory building or accessory structure on your site and you reconstruct that to an accessory dwelling unit. So it's a reconstruction of existing structure on the property. And the last type of ADU is a JADU. Those are maximum square footage of 500 square feet, and essentially those are built within the confines of the existing building. So you can, if you have a house and you want to convert your garage to a JADU, you can do that. And that you can also, so you can do that and also have, again, as I mentioned, a newly constructed ADU, and then also a constructed from an existing ADU on your property. So essentially 4 units on one single family residential property. Kind of nuanced, but you can definitely get there. Setbacks are pretty straightforward. Side and rear setbacks for ADUs is 4 feet. Typically, ADUs are required to comply with the front yard setbacks of the zone district. There is a state law that came out that if you can't construct an ADU of 800 square feet in your rear yard, so if there's no room to construct an ADU, you can actually construct it within the front yard setback. So again, the setbacks are pretty straightforward, 4 feet on the side and rear, and essentially you comply with the setback, the front yard setback, the existing zoning of where the house is located. Next slide, please. Parking. Typically, there's no parking required for ADU. So any ADU that's constructed, there is no parking that's required. Doesn't mean you can't build it. Isaac's going to go over some of the standard plans that we have that show parking, but no parking is typically required for an ADU. Next slide is what design, zoning, or other local standards can be imposed on ADUs. So essentially, the city can only require what the state dictates. So if the city wanted to require parking, we can't, because the state law does not allow the city to require parking. If the city wanted to require design elements to a house, say add some facade treatments to the house, the city can't do that because the state law does not require that. Next slide. All right, I'd like to pass the presentation to Mr. Garza. He's going to go over some pre-approved plans.
A question?
Yes.
When you say those restrictions or requirements can't
Yes.
be imposed unless the state has imposed them.
Yes.
What about open space in the yard? So, you know, you have a backyard and you're putting 2 accessory units out there and there's no grass left. I mean, there's no open space. Is that allowed?
That would be allowed as long as they meet building code. So that would be allowed, yes.
Whoa, okay.
I have a question really quick. Does that apply to commercial land as well?
So wherever residential would be allowed by the zone district. So if commercial allows residential, then you can build an accessory dwelling unit. We also will leave room at the end for questions.
All right. Good evening. I'm going to go over some of the process for the 5 standard plans that we have. So when an applicant would like to use our 5 standard plans, they basically choose the model that they would like. They need to provide a site plan for us and a option table, because these standard plans do have a few options for them to select. So they can select the options. We just need the option table and a site plan. So it's really straightforward and easy for them to submit. The next slide, please. Next slide. So I'm just going to go over real briefly each plan. ADU 1 is a 340 square foot studio ADU. So just a living and bedroom and bathroom area with a kitchenette, a stacked washer dryer and closet. So it's a small unit. Each model has 3 exterior elevation options. So they can have a contemporary style, gable style, or craftsman style. Plan 2 is 499 square feet. It is a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, so it has its own separate bedroom, separate from the living space, and 1 bathroom. Next slide, please. Plan 3 is 625 square feet, and it is a 1 or 2 bedroom because it has a study or bedroom 2 option on it. Also, all 5 plans have a front porch option, so if they want to add a front porch, all 5 plans have that as well. But Plan 3 has a 1 or 2 bedroom option. So Plan 4 is a 2-story. It has a 2-car garage on the first floor, and it's basically Plan 3 on top of that 2-story garage. So it's another ADU with a 2-bedroom or 1 bedroom based on what option they want to select. Next slide, please. Plan 5 is our largest standard plan that we have. It's 1,015 square feet. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ADU. So next slide. So some of the pros, the plan is free. So once we review the site plan and it meets all the planning and building requirements, they don't have to go out and hire an architect or a designer to prepare the plans for them besides just a site plan. If they're not capable of doing the site plan on their own and they want to hire a design professional to do that, they can do that. They're able to also get bids early because these full plans are on the website, on our ADU program website. They can download them. They can take them out to bid. It's a full set of construction documents on the website for them. So before they even start, they can get a real idea of what the actual construction cost is going to be before they get too far into the process. There are no plan check fees for these. We do charge permit fees because we have to have our inspectors go out at each phase like a normal dwelling and inspect each phase of the construction to make sure that they're meeting code. And the permit issuance is a lot faster. Typically, these are 7 to 10 business days as long as they have everything in order. So that's very fast to streamline and get them a building permit for these standard plan ADUs. Some of the cons is it might not fit on the property. Another con might be is if they make a mistake in the field, they're going to have to hire a design professional to fix it for them or come up with the retrofit, repair. And another difficulty is if they want to modify it. We do allow them to modify it, but at that point they have to get a design professional to develop those modifications for them. So those are some of the cons.
Are all the finishes and you know, how it's built. I know it's a design. Are those all specified? So like you have to have this for your kitchen cupboards and this?
No, it's very flexible, so that way the owner can decide which way they want to go. You know, as far as countertops, if they want Formica or they want a marble or ceramic tile, that's all flexible in the plan where they can select the finishes that they want. So next slide, please. So some of the data for these, let's see here. Since 2022 is when we started this program, 12% of the applications, we have had 121 applications since 2022 for these standard plans. 12% of them have been rejected. The only reason most of these are rejected is because they select the wrong application type most of the time. The applicant, they make a mistake and they select just the wrong type of application. 18% is because they're missing something from the packet. They didn't provide the site plan, or they didn't provide the option table when they were submitting. 2% currently right now are being reviewed. So we're pretty good at getting them in and out of the building and safety department and through planning and getting them reviewed. 23%, the applicants have been notified, so we reviewed them. We found something that needed to be addressed, and we told them, hey, we need you to address these things and turn it back into us. 31% have been issued permits, and 12% have been finalized already. So the most popular one is Plan 5, Plan 2 is 26%. So most applicants have picked the 499 square foot model, the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. The second is Plan 5, the large one. A lot of people like the large 1,015 square foot model. Plan 3 is the third most popular. In 2022, when we started the program, we only had about 8 applications. And we started kind of late in 2022, and we only had 8 applications. The following year, we had 32 in 2023. In 2024, we had 56. In 4 months into 2025, we already have 25. So we're on pace probably to get over 100 applications this year for these pre-approved plans. So that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions, I can answer any questions that you might have.
Do you have a list of all of the fees that are included when applying for this, just so we have a general breakdown?
Yeah, on our website, we have a spreadsheet like this that they can download, and it has all the permit fees, all the school fees. Everything is listed on there where they can download the spreadsheet and they can go there. It also has like a national average. We get that from the International Code Council, what a R3 occupancy costs on average through the nation to construct. And it kind of gives them an idea of what that average cost would be per nation cost.
Awesome. What's more or less, depending on, of course, the design, what's the difference between a 340 square foot ADU and like a 1,200 square foot ADU?
So, for example, when we punched in the numbers for the studio, we got $67,000, okay, to build the 340 square foot studio. To do the 1,000 square foot Plan 5, we got $192,000.
Okay.
So
and if somebody bought one of these ADUs like on Amazon, because I know they have them out there, they would still have to go through the permitting process with
Correct.
the city to ensure that they can use that.
And I get that question a lot because I do answer a lot of the phone calls for the ADU program. The main thing is I tell applicants is that they have to make sure that it's a pre-manufactured unit and it has to be reviewed by the state. So by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, they have to review those, they have to inspect them. And most of these Amazon products, unfortunately, they're not gone through the state and been reviewed and inspected by the state. So sometimes people buy things and now they're stuck with something that isn't going to meet the standards.
Thank you.
But with prefabs, they do have to come to us because they need a foundation system and they need permanent utility connections, and we need to review that and make sure that it's done per code.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me what the website is?
Sure, it's if you just go to Google and you put City of Fresno ADU program, it'll be the first one that pops up. That's what I always tell people, that's the easiest way to find it.
So I have a question. First of all, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. More people need to know about this. I mean, we have a housing shortage in pretty much all over California. Let's say if people, like, they have a land which is residential, approved, and they can have up to 4 ADUs on there? Can they, like, from ground up? Like, how many can they have?
So what the state law says is that you have your primary,
Okay.
you can have one new new construction ADU, one attached or conversion of an existing accessory structure, and one junior ADU. So that's up to 4 dwellings. And then multifamily, if it's a multifamily property that already has multifamily, then there's more units allowed that are new detached, depending on how many multifamily dwelling units are on the property.
No, I'm just asking, are people able, let's say there's empty land, are they able to build ADUs on that property? Like, let's say there's a half an acre or something like that.
We have had some applications come in like that, and the main thing is they have to establish a primary residence, and that primary residence has to meet all the regular requirements that are for the primary residence. Then once it has a primary residence, then they can do the accessory dwelling units and meet the state law for the accessory dwelling units.
So primary residence, that's the requirement, like having like a house, like a house.
Like off-street parking and things like that. It doesn't have all those exceptions like an ADU has.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think there's, because I've seen developments in other cities and states where they have a little village of small houses. Do you think you guys are going to get to the point where something like that will be allowed?
We have told certain applicants, because they have came in and we told them that they would have to do the entitlement with planning, but we said we would allow them to, utilize the standard plans and do something like that. They would just have to go through the entitlement and meet all the conditions that are in the entitlement review. But they could use these plans if they wanted to, yeah.
Thank you for the information.
No problem.
I definitely would like to know about the location in Chinatown. Is that something that perhaps, I know that the zoning, it's mixed use. Is that something that can be used on an empty piece of land?
Yes, if mixed use allows residential, so you may be able to, an accessory dwelling unit there, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have a report by the secretary?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. You guys are doing an amazing job, and we're really trying to increase opportunity in the community for people to have ADUs and to make it easy and accessible for folks to install them on their property. At your spot, you will find the calendar for Preservation Month. This year, the theme is the power of place, and you also see at your spot, you have a coaster. The Historic Preservation Commission would like to invite the Planning Commission to try to attend at least one of the events that are on the calendar. We've held this a number of years and have asked the Planning Commission to attend, and I think some of you have attended some of the activities. So we'd like to encourage you to attend again. It's a really thoughtful month. I know a couple of the items have already passed in terms of time, but this coming up this weekend, we have Bike Through History, we have a Huntington District walking tour. I know that the Mother's Day tea is already sold out at the Kearney Mansion. But then next week, I encourage you to attend the annual pub quiz. It's a great fun event. It'll be at South of Shaw Brewing, and we'd love to see you there. And then there are a couple of other educational events on digitization. There's one with the American Institute of Architects, so it's a combo event on the 29th, and then there's another walking tour on the 21st. So I'd encourage you to try to attend something, and remember it by taking your calendar and your coaster home. So that's all I got tonight.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any unscheduled oral communications? Okay, seeing no one, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming. They'll come pick them up.
I know you secretly want to take that. I'm watching you.
I see you.
Question, are they gonna have a fixed,
Mine did not work.
Again tonight?
Again.